What's happening, everybody? Welcome.
Good evening, Spray Wash Land. Did you? I didn't ask, but did you have a good time on last Monday? I was going to go live. I totally forgot what day it was. Ray even told me, "Hey, I can't go live because it's Valentine's Day." And I was like, man, okay, I got to come up with, and then I'm like, wait a minute. Oh yeah, that's right. It's Valentine's Day.
Yep. So, yeah, it was. And then of course my wife's like, okay, we're not doing anything because we went to some event for Valentine's. This is our present to each other. This is our present. We're not doing anything. And then of course she goes and gets me something.
Yeah.
And yeah. And we actually went to a play in Monticello, Florida, at the Monticello Opera House dinner theater play that we wound up leaving early from to come home because we were not really digging the play. And it was a lot of progressive agenda. It was supposed to be about love in rural Maine, and there was
progressive love in rural Maine.
I
don't even want to know anymore.
There was transgender love. There was a man playing a part of a woman, like a bearded, overweight guy. There was our friends that we went with stayed late. They stayed for the whole thing, and they're like, yeah, there was one part where there was an actual two guys kissing on stage, and it was yeah. Just, you know what, and I harbor absolutely zero negativity towards any of that, and I don't do
what you want to do,
whatever you want to do, but whenever it just gets wagged in your face like that for something, I mean, I just Monticello is a town of 14,000 people, kind of in the deep South.
Billy's saying it now.
I agree.
I don't hear it.
It does sound like that.
I don't hear it on my end.
I hear it on my speakers coming through. Yeah, it was just a little weird seeing that kind of progressiveness in that small town, and it's like, guys, make me laugh. Don't sit here and give a. Yeah, Ken hears it now, so yeah, it's not what
I don't hear it on my end. I don't have anything that I could see that would be doing it. So it's got to be on your end. You have a ceiling fan going?
No. Let me log out and log back.
Did you do this a couple times? Maybe you got stuff rattling around up there. So he's going to check back in. We'll see if it. Hey, do you hear it while Ray is gone? That's going to be the question. If you hear it, when Ray is gone, Raymond's brain is rattling. So do you guys still hear it, or is it gone? Trying to figure out if it's on Ray's end. It's still here. Come on back, Ray. All right, let me check out and see if they still hear it, because they said they didn't. They still heard it while you were gone. So let me step out.
Yeah, it's gone now. I don't hear it. I do not hear it.
All right.
It's on your end.
Let me do this. Is it gone?
No, it's louder.
It's louder.
Hold it. Yeah, it's louder now.
Let me plug this in.
Much louder now.
Much louder now?
And it's slowing down.
Maybe it's my brain rattling.
Now it's louder.
I don't know what to tell you. How about if I hold my microphone right here? I don't know what to tell you.
It's slowing down now. It's like a slower.
Now I'm trying to reset my microphone.
I don't think it's the microphone. I think you got some.
Think I got something going on in the background?
Yeah, it does kind of sound like a vibrator with the batteries dying.
Wait, let me check. No, batteries are fine.
I mean, it's not horrible. It's Ron Parr said, "Do you have a dimmer switch on?"
No.
I don't know. Not sure. All right. Well, it is what it is. So since we last talked, I went to IWCA as well too, the International Window Cleaners, IWLA, International Window Lickers.
Window Lickers Association.
Yes, sir. Interesting show held at. Oh goodness! It was at the Rosen Center in Orlando, which is right across the street from the big convention center, and that was. Yeah, somebody's saying it's the computer. Billy's saying it's the computer fan. So,
my computer fan is on.
That's probably it then. But it was interesting. I mean, you know, the window cleaners are a different breed than most of us, and there was a lot of high-rise guys there, and guys that did controlled descent. Stuff like that. So that was really it was cool hanging out with those guys and getting to talk to them for a few days. You know, they're so into the safety that it's well, I mean, because what they do is life and death. You know, hey Jose, what's happening, buddy? And sorry, we've been getting comments on there. Yeah, they're so into the whole safety thing because of what they do is a matter of life and death. Not that what we do isn't, but you know, I mean, we
a lot of them with the high rises and
hurt ourselves. I mean, you know, you arc a power line with a water fed pole or something that we're doing. Yeah, it can be bad, but you know, they're one of those when they step over a 12-story building, you know, they're not tied off right.
Mm-hmm.
That can happen, you know, and it has happened. If that
happened, or the line snaps or whatever, yeah.
Happened here in Tallahassee to a window cleaner. Got back from lunch and literally forgot to strap in.
That's not that one where they on the lift?
No. This was a window cleaner going over the side of a hospital.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and you know, while, you know, if it hadn't been done, if the company hadn't done things the right way, this literally could have been devastating for the owner. And I mean, it's always going to be devastating whenever you lose an employee like that. Mm-hmm. So I'm not saying it wasn't devastating, but by him having his ducks in a row and having his I's dotted and his T's crossed and the proper training and the proper equipment and the documentation of the equipment, all of that, you know, he came out and is actually still in business today. And that happened 12, 13 years ago.
I think that's partly a testament to, you know, when we talk about this industry and we talk about sometimes where you'll see some of the veterans saying, look, if you don't know how to do that, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Well, yes, there's two parts to that. And the first part is you didn't know how to walk before you walked, right? So you have to do things to learn. But at the same time, you have to take a step back and say you did have to walk before you started to run. And, you know, you do need that proper education and getting things done, you know, or seeking out people to help you that have been there. And
I mean, it's baby steps to do from this to that to this to that. But to go from ground zero to doing a 6-story hotel on your first job, I'm not going to recommend somebody gets out there and does that, you know?
Yeah. And that's where, you know, the community comes in really handy where, you know, I mean, I've encouraged guys, hey, you know what, you can take on those big projects, but get somebody that has been in the industry or done this, seek out the proper guidance or, you know, partner with somebody, do something with somebody. You know, right now, the first thing that's popping to my head is Brian Parris when he was really young into the business and he was talking about a 13-story hotel. And I was encouraging him to go for it, but I was also encouraging him to, you know, because he could align himself with people that have done that sort of thing, you know. So.
Well, we have a very good friend and pro member. I don't think I'll mind me mentioning his name, but Daniel Howerton. is washing that Doubletree SeaWorld.
Awesome.
March. Yeah, he got the contract to do that. And
that's awesome.
Part of it was, I encouraged him to do that. And I encouraged him to go after that business. And that's the kind of job that you literally cannot bring a lift in it. It's going to have to be soft washed from ropes with a roof rig. And I said, Daniel, with the community that we have and the contacts we have in Orlando, and and he's a member of Michael Draper's his safety organization, and we've got Draper's class on over at Pro. And Draper's like, heck yeah, I'll come down, with you for obviously for a fee for the 5-6 days that it's going to take you to wash that hotel. And we were able to find him, the equipment to do it. I'm going to bring him some power wash door equipment for it. I went down there. I took pictures of it for him. I went and did some consulting help with him. I've actually been to the hotel twice on his behalf, looking around, sent him plenty of videos, then, did a safety walk around with him, met him down there. So, this is one of those things that look, reach out to people in your market that do the things that are not in your market, that in your community that you trust and love and like, and listen to them, and they can help you through this. I mean, I know that you're weekly, you get things as I do. Hey, Ray, help me with this bid here. Help me with this. How should I, what's my concerns on here? What's my, sorry, there's a car out there on the street. What are the things that I should be looking at? What are some of the things that, I had somebody do that with a hotel recently. I was like, well, I'd be worried about this area here and this area here, not so much here because you've got good lift access, that kind of stuff.
Well, yeah, I just did one for a hotel not too long ago and that was the same thing. We talked about, yes, most of the way around this hotel, great lift access, and I encourage the lift. But then there's also this section that, there's no way you're getting a lift in there. You've got to come up with something else. Right now, you could get a scissor lift in, but the scissor lift wasn't going to get him high enough. And there's other ways of getting that job done. And that's one of the benefits of Pro that I don't think enough people use it, but maybe they don't know. And that's, being able to do the one-on-one job walkthroughs. Yeah. Because I won't do that with somebody that's not a Pro member, just because they're very time consuming. I just did one that was an interior job, and same thing, very time. I think I spent, a couple hours on the phone going over that one. And that's one of the things.
That noise just got incredibly loud for a second there. That's so weird.
It hasn't changed anything on my end.
So that's
if it becomes a problem, I could probably switch to the phone. I'm not sure. I've never.
It's quieter now. For 1 second, it went.
Yeah. Well, we know it's not the other thing because I'm not going like this. You guys started it. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Lloyd is asking, what is Pro? Pro is a membership organization we have. Spray Wash Pro, spraywashpro.com. Feel free to go there and check it. It does.
And to answer your other question, Lloyd, yes, we do. We are willing to help. That's newbies. We help newbies all the time. Just we do take the only way to put it really is that we give priority to Pro members, and we do more for Pro members than non-Pro members, because we do. Sometimes I get just an insane amount of calls or questions or whatever, and I don't have the time to answer everybody's question. I have to boil it down and say, okay, who am I going to help? Who am I not going to help? Just like triage in the military. Okay, you're going to live, you're going to die. You have to make that decision and say, we're going to put our emphasis on Pro members a lot of times.
Yeah. Oh,
but definitely willing to help.
Yeah. So as we were talking in our little pre show, I'm in the middle. I'm in parts hell right now, sorting through 27,418 individual parts, and I had absolutely no. And I've been involved with Power Wash Door Nation on the periphery as a friend, and for years. hell, ever since I was at the initial meeting whenever they announced the franchises, and it's the inventory is absolutely insane what we have, Doug. It is nuts what we have.
You know, I can only imagine all of the pieces and parts. You know, when we were talking about it, I was thinking about, with Cajun soft wash and all the little pieces and parts that I would order and all the little, things that you just don't really think about on the grand scheme of things, where I needed a key for, the shaft of a motor, right? You don't think about, why would you have that in stock? You know what I mean? Because that just sounds, stupid. But you need these little things that just something is going to pop up and somebody needs that one little item that can break their job.
Ironically, today, so thank you very much, Brian. We appreciate that. We're here to help you.
Absolutely.
Today I had somebody called me just in an absolute panic. It was a Tallahassee washer. And they're, Ray, I know you're not open yet. And I was like, yeah, I said, yeah, no problem, buddy. I said, I'll help you however I can. He's like, we're on a job, and our return line, the return nipple that does the 90-degree bend for our Udor just died. And we don't have a replacement in stock for it. We don't have a replacement for it. And we can't, finish this job without we got to shut it down. And I was like, look, I said, ironically, this morning I opened a box up and I was like, Udor parts, great. What the hell am I going to do? I didn't realize I was stocking Udor parts, but I told Paul, send me what I need, and like you said, it was a testament to Paul's knowledge about the industry, because I really wasn't even thinking about the Udors. Haven't personally used an Udor in about 3 years since I got kind of tired of them and took them off the trucks. But sure enough, people are still using Udors. They use theirs every day. In fact, they have an Udor on their trailer, and they have a pressure washer on their trailer. So it's their main pump. And sure enough, sitting in that parts bucket for Udors, we had the nipple and then the ring for the Udor, and I was like, hey, come on by and get it. And they came by and we got them washing, and they went back out and finished the project they were on. So
thank you, Andrew. I'm sure you're talking about my shit, right?
I love my Agent Clean shirt. I still love my spray wash shirts too. And times like, oh, stop wearing those things. And I'm like, I can't help it. I love the dye.
I love the shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's hard not to wear a Cajun soft wash shirt everywhere I go too. Sometimes it's, I'll be wearing one tomorrow going out and doing something, but it's odd not having that,
I'll get to this in one second. I'm also, and everybody knows I'm just a huge Agent Clean fan and freak about their products. And even though we've got like our own line of water dragon chemicals, we're probably going to make Paul really mad. So I'm wrapping our front windows on there. And, one of my first calls, I was like, whenever, on the wrap stuff, whenever we're doing a panel that says detergents or cleaners. And I immediately called Andrew and Nathan, and I said, get me, I need the product lineup for Agent Clean, the promo photo, so I can stick it on there, because it's just how much I believe in their stuff, and I was there when they launched it, still use it. And I'm amazed at how much halt. I had a lady from Clearwater today come into my office, and so we don't have any signage up, and she's in the parking lot with her phone. And I walked outside because I knew exactly what this probably was. And I was like, can I help you? She's like, I'm looking for a power wash store. And I was like, well, yes, ma'am. And she's like, oh my gosh, yeah, you're right. This is. And she was in town for orientation with her daughter at Florida State University, who just got accepted there. And her husband said, hey, there's a power wash store there. Stop in and get me a gallon of Agent Halt.
Awesome. And I know that Andrew and them have been doing a great job getting out there, and actually they've been doing it for a long time. Like there's a Bozeman Distributors here in the greater Baton Rouge area, and Bozeman Distributors, they are mostly a car wash store. And when I say car wash, automatic car wash, they build machines, all that kind of stuff. But they do sell some pressure washing stuff, and they've been selling more and more of it. But they have been carrying Agent Clean products now for probably, at least 2 years, maybe a little bit longer than that. So when I first saw it in there, I was like, right on. I mean, that's awesome, because now we could get it locally.
And so there was a question here of and I'm trying to find the couple of things. The reason I quit using the Udors, Scott, is the same problem I have with the Comets. My guys were not letting them purge long enough. They were not putting them in bypass to prime for a long enough period. And I was constantly getting leaks coming out of the triangle on the Udor, and then it wasn't as bad on the Comet, but I was blowing other little things on those. They're amazing pumps with amazing distance, both the Udors and the Comets, but they are very susceptible to operator error, especially whenever you've got employees as the operators, because I'm like, guys, put the thing on bypass, then go tape up the house. I mean, it can run on bypass for 10, 15, 20 minutes. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care. But the bypass gets all of the...
It has to be bypass.
Yeah. I mean, it gets all of the air out of that main triangle from doing that. And because it's the air hammers and the bubbles that cause that thing to split. So that's why I got rid of it. And then I got to be honest, I'm not a big fan. I know that the guys there's guys that it's the Comet, the gas roof pumps, they call them now. That is the flavor of the month in the pressure washing industry, and everybody's running to these things, these Comet P40s and P60s. Doug, I know you like the 12-volt roofs. You didn't even like the boosters on a roof. That P40, P60 is like 30% more than a booster. I think you're just throwing too much stuff out there on a roof. The other thing is people are using those with the high flow proportioners and these other knockoff blend manifolds, and they put a bypass hose in there so that it can just circulate, material in there. Well, so think about this. You're on a roof mix and you've got this bypass hose so that it doesn't blow. You let off the gun, it goes into bypass mode, and it starts putting this chemical in a bypass loop. And some of these guys are using 25 foot of bypass loop.
And some of them, they put it inside their water tank, their buffer tank, to help keep it cool.
Think about how much fluid is in 25 foot of 5/8 inch hose. I would assume that'd be 1.5 gallons, 2 gallons.
I don't even know I don't think yeah.
25 foot.
How long is the hose? You're talking like a
55 foot.
It's not going to be a gallon.
You don't think so? You're looking at a 5/8 inch hose.
I don't think it's going to be a gallon.
But so you're on a roof mix. Let's say it's a 1/2 gallon, whatever. But you're on a roof mix, and now you go to water. So in theory, if you got hold of that, you went to water and you squeezed that trigger gun and you started spraying water on everything, and you never, ever, ever did that and let off.
And let that bypass that chemical out of that bypass loop.
Right. You'd be fine. But how much does that ever happen? We're constantly letting off, going on, letting off, going on. So at some point in that rent cycle, you are going to be putting bleach water back on that house. and roof mix, if you're cleaning a roof.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to be putting it, with my luck, it would have been on the roses, on the asparagus fern, or on the stained door, so.
And so for me,
and what Tommy said right here is so true. Too much water and way too many chems for the average person.
Absolutely.
Yep.
That's what I don't like about them. So for me, that's why we would still use the 12-volt pumps for residential roofs. We didn't use the booster pump at all for residential roofing. And we've got some big, tall roofs here in Louisiana where a booster pump would make it really nice, but they put out too much volume, too much pressure. And then you talk about these roof pumps, these gas roof pumps, they're doing even more than that. Sorry, I'm just one of them guys. I'd rather control my chemicals, and I don't mean the cost of the chemical or anything to that nature.
Right.
I just mean the amount of chemical that we're putting out and into the landscaping and all that.
Yep.
What's atomizing in the air, all of that.
So Lloyd asked, "What is Agent Clean?" So Agent Clean, yeah, and so Scott, I went, and I was always a booster guy. I left boosters for a little while. Actually, I've always had boosters, but I had a couple of Udors and Comets as well. And with that, I mean, because I was working at it with the power wash store, and they said, "Hey, try these out, see what you think on there." I just thought, but there are certain jobs that they're amazing for. A nice tall 40-foot, state office building that's 3 stories, 3.5 stories tall, and you can hit that sucker from the ground. They're pretty darned amazing. So Lloyd asked what Agent Clean is. Agent Clean Solutions is a line of soaps, degreasers, window cleaning products, and
they're also the ones that sell Agent Halt.
Yeah, Agent and bleach neutralizers. Agent Halt being that one. So it's they're my favorite soaps. They really are. I absolutely love it.
And a quick story here, Nathan, who is a major part of that, he's also a pseudo chef, and we had a really good conversation at the convention it wasn't the convention, it was in York, PA, the event in York, PA. I think it was somewhere. Anyhow, where we talked about food, and it's something that has stuck with me, where the difference in the types of foods that you bring in complement each other, and it's what makes it pop. Where you may not like this and you may not like that, but put the two of them together and it really tastes good. So just had a really great conversation with Nathan.
Nathan is like a man of many talents. He is a firearms instructor. He is an incredible mandolin player.
I've heard that.
He is a
I've not heard it, but I've heard it.
Yeah, I've literally heard it too. And he has a great YouTube channel on guns under RAK, Responsibly Armed Korean. I don't know where he got the whole Korean thing from. Because yeah.
Go figure. It was funny though. We were trying to.
For a couple of years, I always thought Nathan. I thought Red Elves was like an Indian name, and I honestly thought he was like an American Indian. And I did. Sorry, I thought he was like from one of those tribes that looked. He didn't look Korean to me. I could see where there was some Indian in there. I don't know.
Dude, he's obviously Irish.
This is what happens when you assume people's nationality.
I did.
Oh, man.
All right. So Perry Tate's asking, what do you guys reckon is the proper PPE for spraying chemicals? Well, that could go a long ways. I mean, for me, let's just start with the basics of it, which is the bleach. Sodium hypochlorite. That's just the first thought that's hitting my head. And, we have this discussion all the time about respirators. And it blows my mind how many people I watch on Facebook doing videos and not wearing a respirator and thinking it's no big deal.
Yep.
And I'm telling you, you young bucks especially, get up there in a little bit of age and realize that your lungs are toast. You can't get them back. A lung transplant is like $1 million, somewhere around that neighborhood. So unless you can afford that, throw away $1 million, but safety glasses, respirators. I'm going to say all of the attire that is going to cover your body for the most part. Gloves. We could go.
You know what the worst part of a lung transplant is?
Oh crap!
First couple of times you cough, it's not your phlegm.
Yeah, I've heard that one. Yeah.
We actually, it's funny you mentioned this. We just had this conversation over in Orlando at the IWCA, and I hearkened back to the conversation I had with the OSHA representative out of the deputy director out of Jacksonville. Whenever I said, no, we soft wash instead. And he said, yeah, you soft wash, great. Don't even get me started on how you guys just flagrantly disregard the laws, on PPE. And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, at minimum, you guys need respirators, you need gloves. You should be in Tyvek suits. Mm-hmm. And I was like, well, I'm in Florida. We would die. I could not hire an employee and tell them to wear it. He's like,
that's why I chuckle at it, because we should be, right? Yep. But there's certain things that just become somewhat unrealistic.
But I want you to think about this. What if you worked for Budweiser, Johnson & Johnson, any large company, and they said, okay, it's your job to be covered in bleach water for about 4 hours a day, and we're not going to give you any PPE or make you wear that. How fast do you think their butts would be cited, sued, liability, OSHA, civil lawsuits, all of that? I mean, and it's crazy. And while at the same time, we are kind of doing this to our employees. And I'm not advocating saying go out and start wearing Tyvek suits, but at minimum, you need eye protection, hand protection, respirator,
The funny part for me is that we did a job for Shell Oil Company. Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that. I didn't say that. Let's back up. We did a job for a company once that's a fairly large company, chemical company. And I was very surprised to find out that they did not require respirators for spraying bleach. And I'm like, because we got into an argument over it, right? And when I say argument, they said, well, because we were more consulting for them, they were having their guys do it with our equipment and all that kind of stuff. Anyhow, they said, I said, okay, so the guys are going to be wearing respirators and all that. And they said, no, we ran it past our safety guys. They said, sodium hypochlorite, we're not going to need the respirator. And I said, well, yes, they do. And they said, no, we don't. And I said, yes, you do. You're using my equipment, my stuff, and I know what this stuff does. And absolutely, it's either that or we don't do the job. And so they made that the requirement. Talking to the guy on site, he was like, yeah, I didn't get it either, because it's not a quote unquote dangerous chemical to breathe. People are breathing it every single day, but you're talking more the household bleach, and that had to be the mindset of them.
Yeah.
You're not talking about the high concentrations and the daily use.
Right.
So, I mean, when we talk about alcohol and we talk about cigarettes or whatever, and, sometimes they'll say everything in moderation, right? But when you start going, if you just start salt a day, sodium levels. So that's the thing. You're doing this every single day. If you're not protecting yourself,
what's that moderation thing you're talking about?
I don't know. I think that's a beer.
Yeah. I would love to.
Oh, that's Modelo.
I would love to actually make a whiskey called In Moderation, and I drink in moderation.
I bet there's one out there.
And Sean, I'm gonna answer that in 1 second. I want to go back to Perry made a comment here. I have a positive flow respirator helmet with chemical filters I'm looking at. Interesting to get guidance the way the air pump pulls air through the filters and delivers it to the helmet rather than having to suck it through the filter. I'll tell you the one thing, like Mark Carraro sent me, and I got one of his full face respirators, that Mark uses, and I absolutely loved it. Except, and not only that, this also happens with face shields that are not, that aren't even respirators, but just the face shields. And I've tried the big 3M one that's like the lift up, lift down. I've tried the cheap Harbor Freight ones. I have had Mark's full face shield respirator. The only problem we have with those is you have to have the wet rag in your, it like literally hanging on you, because you will get overspray, you will get blowback on there, and the bleach just dry. It crystallizes like that, especially if the shield is hot.
Yep.
I mean, I've literally been spraying, gotten the overspray, and instant crystallization on there, and can't see anything.
Mm-hmm. That's the problem that you run into. And so I bought those for all of my guys. I bought them to have on the trucks so that they would have full face deals when, if they wanted them, and they would never use them. I had one guy that would use it because he wore glasses, and when it would start to get a little bit windy, he would get out his full face, to protect himself. But for the most part, nobody would ever use them.
All right, so air versus 12 volt. Is air worth the change? Yeah, that's interesting, because I just made the change at Crystal Clean to air, to air. I don't think so. I don't particularly think so, unless you're prone to getting flat tires, because then you've got a compressor right there. Although I was talking to the manager at Crystal Clean the other day, and he said, God, we love these air systems. We absolutely love them. And we don't get quite the reach that we get on our boosters, but we absolutely love the air because of, we just do. We just love it. Because you can lay them down, you can come back 2 hours later, and you're not worried about blowing anything. They prime up very easily. You don't need positive water to get them going. So, he listed out those are part of the reasons that they like them so much. Mm-hmm. I also think that with a good 12 volt system, you can get not quite the volume, but at least the reach of an air system.
Yeah, and that's where I'm at with it. I mean, I think with the 12 volt, you can get a lot of the reach. You just can't get the volume with it. Mm-hmm. You might get a foot or two less.
Yeah.
But and a foot can be a lot. We all know that.
No, absolutely.
There are ways that I can get an extra foot or two. Part of it's just in learning how to toss the sauce. I mean, if you get your techniques down, I can tell you that Louisiana, we've got 400 on 12 pitch roofs, and they're 700 feet tall. I mean, I'm going to say 98.927% of the time, I can hit the peak with a 12 volt pump. It's just a matter of learning how to do it and getting everything right. And it can't be too windy out to do that.
But going back to Perry, I think that anything that helps the industry PPE wise, and of course has to be affordable, has to be comfortable, but I think any innovation in there is good innovation. So
yeah, I think you're going to have to come up with something like, right off the top of my head, what I'm thinking about, Perry, is NASCAR. So NASCAR had come out with those peel off things. I wonder if you could do something like that, where when you do get that blowback, because like you said, Ray, even though you put that rag in your pocket and you get all that chemical on there and you wipe it, now you have a smeared thing that you're trying to look through. I wonder if they came out with a peel off.
Yeah.
If that would
5 or 6 peel off that you could go and do it. So Austin, and no, I wouldn't wear one if I was downstreaming. I would definitely wear one whenever I'm using anything more than about 20%. If I'm doing a heavy stucco build, heavy growth stucco, brick, stuff like that downstream, I am, and remember the heat has a lot to do with it. If you're on the roof, the access of a roof, I see the guy, it's probably not even as bad, right? And I'm not saying don't wear a respirator doing this, but if you're doing a roof from a ladder and I can shoot over to this side over, and then stop, and then move my ladder, and then shoot this other area over here. I'm probably not exposing myself to as bad of a chemical exposure as I am walking on a roof, and especially walking on a hot roof in the summertime, because remember, first thing that's evaporating out of there is the water part. Now we're left with a stronger bleach solution on there.
But as a guy that sprays from the ladder, I can tell you, I mean, yes, you're absolutely right. However, you're still getting way too much chemical in your lung, even spraying from the ladder. And I would even argue that there's you know, a downdraft that's coming right to you, and it's bringing those chemicals to you. And I've seen it, especially in the hot summertime. You can watch it flash off and go up, but you can also watch it travel, you know, depending on how the wind is flowing.
Yeah.
And so sometimes you get that draft coming right down at you.
And I actually mentioned, we talked about this on one of the shows one time. I had a very good friend who was doing the exact same thing, cleaning a dog boarding area. And he's like, hey, is there anything we need to worry about? And I said, buddy, you need to wear your respirator. Wear your respirator. And he said it damn near laid his ass out, his butt out, even with the respirator on, that those fumes were absolutely amazing, you know. And
well, the respirator must not have been either sealed correctly or been worn out, because
the respirator it could have been. He also could have had an OV versus an AG. And that's something too that, you know, it's important to understand your respirator safety. What's the difference between a 95, a 99, a P100? You know, I mean, that's one of the things that us guys that know our respirators kind of laughed about, the whole, you know, oh, the N95, you know, mask for COVID. Okay, so you're going to filter out 95% of the COVID. Thanks.
Well, you know, it's funny as we get into the respirator conversation here, and that is, I'm betting. If I were to bet, I would go all in on. There's probably not a company out there that does it correctly, and what I mean by that is, the respirators are supposed to be fitted to the person, and then when they do that, they actually take a chemical test around and make sure that it's completely sealed, so that you're getting nothing inside there, right? To make sure that it's fit correctly to you.
No, you're supposed to do respirator fits, and you're right. We never did. You know, we literally hand people their respirator, and you know, also respirators. The reason those disposable or respirators come in like the seal bags is because you're supposed to seal up the sandwich bag part of that, because the charcoal pre-filter wears out.
Yep.
If it's exposed to air for more than 24 hours. I can't tell you how many times I got into trucks and found us open sandwich bags of the respirators. And I say sandwich bags, I mean, it's their bag that they come in that seals up. And it's still, I'd rather wear one of those than wear nothing at all. But you've killed the charcoal filter. You've killed the charcoal filter on there.
Mm-hmm. I want to play out Nathan's stuff here in kind of in order here. So it's Nathan saying PPP is important, or PPE is important, and keeping employees up to date on it helps protect you. Going further, which leads back to having a solid handbook and document the training that you guys go through. So if someone gets injured due to lack of PPE, you can show that they had in fact been given the PPE and had been properly trained in how to use it.
He is 100% correct, because it is not good enough for OSHA concerns. They are not happy with just having. Did you see that one from Papa Puff on there too?
I did, yeah. Hey, Papa.
Hey, Dave. Hope you're doing well, buddy. I know you're just killing it on there.
He is.
So you know,
I not to interrupt you, but I could have opened up a power wash store here in the greater Baton Rouge area. Could have made all my money just off of Dave.
Just off of Dave, yeah. What an amazing success story.
Yeah,
I love it.
Anyhow, sorry.
But I'm so proud of that guy. He's just amazing. But yeah, fit test it. And OSHA is not just satisfied with you giving your employees, and I know this sounds silly, but if you have PPE, the employees need to sign off that they've been trained on using the PPE as well. training on using gloves? Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, you need to tell people, okay, well, if the glove breaks, pull it, here's how you put the glove on. Here's how, when the glove comes off. Here's how you put your respirator on. All of these are very, very, very important things to do in case something ever happens,
It goes wrong. And we all know that. I mean, if you've been in long enough, something is going to go wrong. Eventually, something is going to go wrong. You're going to get guys that get stuff in their eyes and all that. And I can tell you, I mean, your initial reaction, or at least mine is, you want to say, look, dude, just rinse it out and go about your business, because there's nothing they can really do for you anyhow. And I know that because I've had several guys go in to get their eyes checked, from getting it in their eyes. And virtually there isn't much that they can do about it other than flush it out. There is, if it's severe enough, but most of the time that's what it's going to be. So training them to even keeping their eye protection on and things like that are important, and being able to show that you did that, you provided that.
Yep.
They're the ones that decided not to wear it, not to use it, not to whatever.
Mm-hmm. Some great
comments off you a little bit.
Yeah, it just goes with the whole vibrator comment earlier. So the lung burn sucks and will eventually give you respiratory problems. Absolutely. And you guys remember that the sodium hypochlorite, it attacks your mucous membranes. That's why one of the reasons when you get around the SH fumes, you start coughing and you're hacking up, and it's because it's going in there and it's attacking the mucous membranes of your respiratory area. And what you're hacking up is the dead mucous membranes that are getting inflamed and irritated on there. I know some of the absolute worst problems I've ever had is in screen porches and in pool screen areas.
Mm-hmm.
Just how horrible the fumes are in there whenever you've walked into one of them. Like you'd be checking on the guys and they're in there working, they're in the respirators. And I would just walk in to check on them real quick. And I'm like, oh my, it's a screen, but this is part of where you're going to with the vapors settling on there. Yeah. But on a windless day, the vapors will collect
staying in there
area on there. And you might be fine and even only spraying a light mix, but it will kick you. A house mix will kick your butt.
We've done inside like bathrooms and stuff.
Yep.
And you go in there, it's not just your lungs. That stuff starts to burn your eyes and everything else, even your skin on a house wash mix, because all of that is staying inside there, and it can eat you, just eat you up.
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, and Kyle, I get it, but what Kyle is saying right here is actually really, really smart. You're in Florida near the coast, constant breeze. Start on the side of the house where the wind is blowing and work back. Spray with the wind. Absolutely, yeah. If you're not going to, you're not going to wear one. Yeah.
I want to go to this one here real quick. Perry is saying, by the way, if you can smell a chemical, even with your filter, you're not fully filtering the chemical. Yes. And let me go this direction with it. In the whole filtering side, imagine this. You've gotten off the truck for the day. You're sitting in the office, and one of your guys comes walking in, and you're like, man, you stink. You smell like bleach. And he's like, no, I don't smell like bleach. Okay. Think about that just for a moment. He's not smelling it because he's been around that bleach. It has burned up those mucous membranes. Yeah. He can't smell it. But when he comes in, he reeks of bleach. Okay. That's the whole point of what those respirators should be doing for you, helping you with a lot of that.
Absolutely. Bo's giving another plug for Michael Draper. And Michael Draper is on staff at IWCA. Not only does he run a large safety company and does, controlled descent or rope access training, but he is the PWNA, content education director as well. And we have a relationship with him over at Spray Wash Pro. But my God, get that OSHA safety training, get the ladder safety training, get the safety training from Michael Draper.
Available on Spray Wash.
Yeah, I mean, available as some, and again, he has a hand in all the PWNA classes as well. And I'm not trying to, pimp out the PWNA, but it's a great not-for-profit org out there. And, it's so important to do. David saying, I dealt with this just recently on a roof wash with my help. Yep. Mm-hmm. And Gene saying it's not just OSHA, tell many of the restaurant lawsuits and training and policies in place. Yeah. And
if you're in Louisiana, you know about lawsuits. They happen all the time.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's so important. I know we were going to talk about safety tonight, but you know what? Safety is always a good thing to have on there. And
I don't think we had an agenda this evening. As many evenings.
I want to go back. I want to go back though and talk about this OSHA thing some more and harp on this one more time for anybody that's joined us late. It's not just good enough to give somebody a respirator. It's not just good enough to give somebody a rope and a harness and say, all right, here, go up on that roof. You have to have documented proof that you have trained them and that they understand the training on there. Otherwise, you're in violation of OSHA and you are liable as the business owner.
I didn't think about this before. I just had this thought this very, very moment. But think about this, Ray. So what if I go to work for Spray Wash, Spray Wash exterior cleaning, and I work for them for 1 year. I work for them for 5 years. Doesn't matter. And then I quit or I'm fired for whatever reason. And then 10 years down the road, I get emphysema. Okay. Or I catch some lung condition, or I catch some, what's to say I can't go back at that time, just like they did with Philip Morris and lung cancer and, mesothelioma and all these things where they're coming back now saying, hey, we have to have these mass lawsuits and all that. There are statute of limitations, but I think when you get into something like that, there is the potential that
absolutely. And probably the only reason that we haven't heard about more of these is because most of us are smaller companies,
right?
And there's just no meat on that bone to get out there and do it. You let somebody, a larger type company going up in the 8 figures of income do that, and yeah,
But almost all of us carry at least $1 million in coverage.
Yeah. Perry's saying that the same as cologne. You never smell your own cologne for more than 2 minutes. You get acclimated to the smell and your senses delete the data. Now you meet your customer and they say, oh, baby, you say nice. You smell nice. And Tommy's just, Chicago is so nice this time of the year. We brought Mike in last year. We can only train so much. Having an outside party come in and teach is an asset to your company. Amen. And how many times have you and I done plant and property protection? And the business owner said, I'm sending my guys.
They won't listen to me, but they'll listen to you.
It's the same. I've already gone to this class. It's the same crap that I tell them every week. And yes, I want them to hear it from somebody else on there, And as a user, I don't know what your name, but yeah, Monday morning safety toolbox meeting. And you should be doing your toolbox talks.
You should be every week.
Every week. Hey, you know something? Spray Wash Pro has 52 of them or 50 of them that Agent Clean donated to us.
There you go.
And remember, you've got your toolbox talk, your weekly safety briefing on there. But yeah, absolutely should be doing that, and everybody should sign off on it.
And a quick disclaimer: that's not why we pitch Agent Clean. We actually use the product and like it.
Yeah.
Products.
It's like kind of like the hair club for men. I'm not just a spokesperson. Yeah. Well, actually, I don't use it. So.
And Ever Ready Bunny. This is brought to you by Everett.
That's interesting. Some local chambers have safety classes available. That'd be cool. I don't know. And Nathan, it's so bizarre where you were on here and it said your name earlier, and yeah, go figure. Go figure.
It's never mind.
Agent Halt is what?
No, it was. Yeah, we won't go there. It was just a joke, just another joke. You know how that is.
Yeah, that was probably that was the second thing I sold at the store, and even though I'm still not open yet,
Agent Halt.
Yeah, it was. The first was F9 FLO. The second was Agent Halt, and I've actually now, like, it seems like every 2 days somebody's calling up going, "Hey, you have an Agent Halt?" Oh yeah, I got Agent Halt. So.
I haven't worked it out just yet, but Ray and Tanya are going on vacation pretty soon. I might have to give away some stuff.
You're gonna come. The Ray and Tanya are out of the country discount. So, yeah. Oh man,
figure something out.
Great.
I'm gonna give away. I'm gonna sell something cheap. I don't know what I'm gonna do yet, but
So Ben Dougie, the store. Good question. 2 weeks ago, but officially, because I don't have any way to charge people, so I've just been writing people's emails. I have a lot of trust going on here. I've been writing people's emails down and saying, "I'll send you a bill." But we're actually shooting for sometime next week, March 1. Drop dead date on there, but yeah.
And look, just because we were supposed to have mentioned it already, we haven't. But don't forget that the huge convention is coming up. Also, there is the what is it? It's called the Rockstar Admin, and we'll post some stuff here. We're going to send out an email. We're going to post some stuff for y'all so that you can click a link and get it. If you don't have a Rockstar Admin, you should send your admin person, whether it's you or your secretary or your person that answers the phone, whatever. Send somebody to this Rockstar Admin thing. And again, just so that everybody knows, we're not making anything off of that, but we're getting you a discount on it. So when you go to sign up for the class, do put in spray wash, capital letters spray wash as your code. And we're working on some other things for you behind the scenes. But just so that you know, Rockstar Admin is coming up. That's in March. That's coming up.
Yeah, it's in March. In fact, Tanya's working on her PowerPoints now for it. I mean, it was amazing her talking about, just sitting here listening to her practice and hearing what all she's putting in there. And it's, getting into the insurance, getting into COIs. What is a COA? Who needs a COI? What is an additional insured on there? She gets into workers' comp. She gets into the various CMA programs. She gets into the workflow and what do you do? And let's talk about vehicle maintenance and vehicle maintenance logs and equipment maintenance logs and all of those, things that your admin should be doing on there. I can't wait for her to do she's actually got a section called, callbacks, friend or foe.
Mm-hmm.
And it's talking about, making the callback work in your favor instead of against you. So.
Mm-hmm. That's a long one there. So I'll read it out. But David's saying he stepped through some bushes. The pine straw was covering the water meter box. He takes a step into the bushes. Well, the top of the box was not all the way on, and he fell in. And guess what? He didn't have his glasses on. He had something in the corner of his eye. We flushed it out a lot. We couldn't get it out, or we couldn't get it. He said it was better. About 45 minutes later, he comes around the corner of the house. Boss looks at my eye. He had snot flowing out of his nose. I said, "Get your wife to come and get you and go." Yeah, and that's what you got to do. Sometimes when something happens, you just got to send them to either the emergency room or the urgent care center or whatever. Do what you need to do to protect them first, but also to protect you.
Well, by protecting them, you are protecting you. And don't ever forget that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to be cold or callous about that, but you are saving your own butt by protecting them, by taking care of your guys. I will never forget, and this is back in my early days. And Michael just asked, they think they'll have a virtual version. Yes, I believe they will, Michael. I believe they will. They're working on that. I'll get you an update on there next week.
We have several things we're trying to do behind the scenes.
But back into this with David, I was cleaning a very, very dirty roof at our Parks and Recreation headquarters in Tallahassee. And I remember it's the kind that has the shed roof style that's like a 212 pitch, and then it goes up to a 1012 like that. So climbing up the ladder, had the booster pump on, did not have. This was 12 years ago. This is an early job that I did, and I literally climbing up with the booster and got up to the top of the ladder and somehow squeezed the trigger at the booster, and the booster was this far away from my eye, and it shot. I got a full eyeball of roof mix on there.
And how many times does that happen?
Yeah, a lot. I mean, ever since then, it always just hit the safety glasses, but I didn't have the safety glasses on right there at that one time. But I will never forget how instantaneously I was blinded, and I'm screaming for my backup. Thank God I wasn't doing this alone. I'm screaming for him, and I'm standing on the ladder, and I'm like, okay, turn the pump off. First off, turn the pump off. Don't want to blow the pump. And then I'm like, and then you've got to come here and help me down. I can feel my way down the ladder, but then once I get down this ladder, I'm blind. I could not open my eyes. I couldn't do anything. And I was just, I was saying, get me a bucket of water. Get me a bucket of water. And so he's bubbling around trying to get that. I did not have an eye wash station in the truck.
You should have an eye wash station.
Should have absolutely had one. I wound up having him drive me to the emergency room. And I mean, it was some of the most excruciating pain I've ever had in my life. And they hooked me up to the cyborg thing, the contact lens with a saline solution with an eye drip, coming in there in this eye that really got the brunt of it. This one they were able to flush out. And I had to sit there for like 2 hours with saline dripping behind my eyeball. It was horrible. It was awful, horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've all had it. And if you haven't had it happen, it will eventually happen. Yeah. Even with safety glasses on. And I mean, I think one of the pictures in Pro is one of my guys who's got a gnarly chemical burn on the side of his face. And it was a good thing he was wearing his safety glasses. But even with his safety glasses on, he still got some inside of his eye. So because your safety glasses aren't completely sealed, right? Right. And so you can still get stuff in your eyes. But those safety glasses can absolutely save you. And then somebody had posted on here that there are, what did he say? There's some goggles that you can use.
Wall goggles at Home Depot.
Yeah, and they've got the foam thing on there, and they will help you. But it still comes back to that same thing where once the chemical gets on the glass, you can't see. And that's where part of that problem comes in.
Yep, absolutely. What's happening, Wild West? Hope you're doing
finally here.
Yep, well, he's late. Yeah, that eye burn is freaking. That's awful. I never want to go through that pain again in my life.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
And one of the things that I like to say is think about this. I mean, when you get those chemical burns, right, and your skin is a lot stronger than the skin of the plant. So think about that when you get that chemical burn on you, that the plant's feeling that only 10 times worse. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, plants are a lot more gentle than ours.
A lot more sensitive. Their skin is more sensitive than ours.
David brings up a good point on there. Not worth it. Always have them on. All the videos on the site, they're on. Yeah. 100%, and Nathan said that about the back of the top of your documented safety training and or official OSHA training, talking to customers, indicating that your crews are all trained and ensured builds credibility. 100%. And, the picture, like what David, and then tying that into what David says, picture's worth 1,000 words. And I don't care if you need to scrub your social media of any pictures of you, anything and unsafe, not following guidelines. You not harnessed off, even if you're an owner operator, you still should scrub that picture from social media. Pictures of you not wearing safety equipment, pictures of you just working in an unsafe manner. Get rid of those.
I'll go one further and say, if you even have a picture of you on a ladder, you should get rid of it. And here's the reason I say that. Get rid of that. We had a conversation with an insurance agent, and he looked over our Facebook page, and part of that conversation came about from the safety aspects and trying to get us the best rates and all this kind of thing. And I was letting him know, look, we spray from the ladder, we don't go on the roof, blah, 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 all these kinds of things. So I sent him some pictures of us on a ladder. Guy's got 3 points of contact. He's got his 2 feet on the ladder, and he's got his hand on the ladder, and then he's spraying like this with bullhorns, ladder stabilizers coming off. So all of these things are there. Everything is in place. He's got safety glasses on. He's got his respirator on. All of these things are in place, and he's spraying the roof from there. And the guy came back and said, these are great pictures, but I don't ever want to see them again.
Yeah.
We do not want to send these to anybody. You don't want to display these, okay? Even though it looks like you're doing everything safe as you can, just don't do it. And I'm like, okay, so keep that in mind.
I personally know of a company in Tallahassee, Florida that had their workers' comp canceled. They had to go with a different company because they had a bunch of pictures of them, 3 guys up on a roof, no harnesses on whatsoever. You couldn't even get away with saying, well, it's just the owner up there doing it, because they had all 3 people up on a roof up there cleaning it. Yeah. Only show before and afters. Great idea. Indigo saying liability says and comp agents say they constantly scan your social media. Carlos is absolutely right. Flip flops are a big no, but yet we see pics in the industry with guys wearing that,
all the time.
Yeah, 100%. Croc, honestly,
Mr. Croc himself. Yeah,
and Tim finally stopped wearing the Crocs. I was giving him credit. He's like, man, I don't even own a pair of Crocs. And I was like, all right, cool. And I did that video on my personal YouTube page where I literally red tipped through a croc. It was like cut it in half. And this is
crop that part of it out.
Yeah,
that's easy to do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't be wearing the Crocs and don't be wearing the flip flops and all. And that's one of the things that the OSHA guy, the OSHA deputy director, not OSHA guy, he's pretty important with OSHA, but he said, hey, I see.
I want to. So Nathan, let me ask you a question. Have you ever seen a picture of Carlos's feet? I mean, just question. Have you ever seen a picture of Carlos's feet?
Or are you thinking he's toeless? Seems.
I mean, the only thing is that the guy can run. What was his longest? Like 16 miles or something like that. Ridiculous like that.
Marathon, getting out there. I'm going to go run on the beach in Europe.
That guy with his goals and everything.
I'm going to go run around the Eiffel Tower 18 times or something like that.
Yeah, Carlos. I think he's missing toes on each foot.
Yeah,
something like that.
We call him 3-toe Carlos. Is real good friends.
If you can't make fun of your friends, who can you make fun of, Carlos?
Right. That's right. Don't be photographed riding on a forklift forks. Okay, so
yeah, that might
believe it or not. So
you weren't riding on
it because I'm an owner operator and Paul is an owner operator, and we don't need no stinking OSHA.
We don't need no stinking OSHA.
Yeah, right after I posted that, I was like, this is probably a really stupid picture to post, but it was just too good of him. And what he was like trying to do is he was like, he's like, we could hang a sign on this because I have kind of a low electric wire. He's like, we could just like hang a sign on here, over here, if you want to hang a sign that says low electric wire. And we can measure it out and see what it is. I was like, yeah, we could. And that's how we get the pallet rack out of the back of the box truck, is we put the forklift on it. It's actually safer to do that than
right.
Try and lift it and carry it. And he's like, well, here, I'm going to hop up there and do that. But yeah, it was just too good of a picture.
Any picture that involves Paul is a good picture.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and live at the beach, damn near water jetted my big toe off. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to tell you what, I mean, especially depending on, especially if you have a zero tip, but even without that, a 15-degree tip can certainly give you a nice little cut.
Doug, I had a guy that was working with me once, and we had literally just spent 6-7 hours washing parking lot curbs at Innovation Park. And we're muddy, we're nasty, and Leon, he's like, I'm gonna wash myself off. I was like, all right, bud. I'm watching him, and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm washing myself off. And he literally took the lance and went down the side of his leg with a green tip. Oh. And it peeled the hide off of him. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing? What are you doing? And he said, I just wasn't thinking. I was just trying to get this mud off of me. I was just trying to, and I was like, I'm looking at it, and I'm pouring hydrogen peroxide on that thing, and just, going, oh, please don't get infected. So,
we could do a whole segment on that. Most of you that know me know I was a commercial diver by trade in my younger days, and a good fitting thing for this is that we become comfortable with what it is that we're doing, and that's when we become dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we tune out what we know to be right a lot of times, and we just like you're saying, he takes the wand, I'm just going to rinse it off.
Yeah.
Okay. We had a diver that he was down, I think, about 210 feet, and for some reason, they just started hearing bubbles. So they jumped the standby diver, go down, and he's down there without his hat on. Okay, so he's obviously dead. But the point of it is that you become so comfortable in your surroundings, and you've got an itch or something, and you pop your helmet off to scratch it, not realizing that once you pop that helmet off, you're dead. Okay, right. And it's the same thing in this industry. In anything you do, in any industry that you're in, you become comfortable with your surroundings, and you do things not thinking about it. And that's why you've got to keep yourself up and think about these things. And having safety meetings, I think, even helps with that. You talk about the things that you shouldn't do, like you shouldn't take the zero tip, or rinse yourself off. You just shouldn't do that. Everybody's going to think, well, yeah, duh. But when they go to do it, oh, yeah. So keeping those things at the top of your brain is helpful.
No, absolutely. Rusty, no, we're not. I actually talked to Gene tonight about that, and yeah, we're not going to that. But that is the PWMCA show is at the end of this week in Orlando. Look at pwmca.org, I believe. I'd consider going down as a vendor. I've talked to Tanya about it tonight. I'm going to hit her up again once more in the morning and see. I'm guessing I know what her answer is going to be. And
looking at her in the
just side. Like that, she appeared in the doorway here and shot me a look. So, yeah.
She was listening on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds horrible, Michael.
Yeah, it does.
Phone's dying. Nathan's gone. Well, Mitch, about time, buddy.
Yeah, about time you showed up.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we need to log on off. It is 9:15.
Yep, time to go.
At my house. So, guys, thank y'all so much for your time. Y'all have wasted another perfectly good hour of your life, but we sure appreciate it. And Doug, talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you. Peace out, y'all.
Bye. Wasn't that hot, Mitch, if you're home so early? Well, I
Just gotta throw it out there, buddy.
safety
That
tip.
couldn't have been that hot.
Don't piss off Tanya.
There you
That's
go.
a good one, yeah. She was just sitting here in the doorway, just eyeballing me, man. She's bye. Well, we'll see you. All right, we're out. We gotta. Oh, what you telling me? Tell me. We're off.